This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Welcome to the Hive with Us podcast. We have a special guest. This is a segment we call Meet the Hive. And why do we call it Meet the Hive? We call it Meet the Hive because these are our Hive Mind clients. So we have a special guest, Anthony Hernandez out of San Antonio. Yes, we work with people in our own markets and they kill it just like we do. And it's okay. And there's no competition. So Anthony, one of the first questions we always ask is, how did you end up in real estate and how long have you been doing real estate in general?
I've been doing real estate going on 4 years. I got into real estate when I left my job. I was working for a Fortune 500 company. I was a manager of the car service department. Really good, cushy job. Was only making about $55 a year. Wasn't where I needed to be. I decided to leave my job to go on a trip to Vegas. And they told me if I left to Vegas, I wouldn't have a job when I got back. Yeah. And they gave me that line in the sand. And so it didn't sit well with me. As I was like, wow, I gave y'all 5 years of working here. And, you know, all of a sudden I can't go on this trip because my manager at the time had left. And so they were like, well, you can't handle it by yourself. And I'm like, all I need is a week. I ended up leaving, man. And it was probably the best decision of my life. I was sitting at home. I was there. And the next thing I knew, I was like, man, I want to be a realtor. So I started looking into realtors and stuff like that. And somehow I came across this thing called Bird Dog. And I was like, well, what is a bird dog? I don't need no money for that. So I started researching on what it was. And then when I realized that I needed no money just to be a bird dog, I started just trying to find properties. And then when I realized how to go, I started just going video after video. And that's how I got in, man. And 4 years later, now we have systems, employees, and rentals, and all this great stuff.
So the title is going to be YouTube in a Dream.
Right. Yeah, $100,000 in mailers. That'll make everybody click it. You know, then I'll give away my mailer for free. I don't mind. We'll give them our mailer for free.
I really want to cover this too, because one thing that separated you from your mailer campaign, this is why I always like recording everything, because we get all the free flow stuff. So what separated your mail campaign from everybody else's?
The biggest thing that separated my mail campaign from feedback, because we would ask every time we got a call, was having a wet signature. As long as they saw a wet signature, that person thought, hey, it wasn't a robot. I wasn't some big time guy. I wasn't a multi-millionaire that was going to go and knock them on the head, because they're like, hey, I get these letters all the time. But you're the first one that actually signed my letter. Is this a real signature? And I'm like, yeah. Is this you? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, can you come over to see my house? And so now it was more of a personal conversation just because they saw the wet signature. And blue, well, you can't lie with blue, right? You know, black you can kind of pass, but when it's blue and it's wet, man, they're like, wow, you know. And so I liked it, man. I'm gonna let you know something that's funny. My wife, this is a funny story. My wife, when we first started sending mailers, she made me spray some of them with cologne, right? She thought that, hey, if one of the ladies got it, that maybe they might call me just because they might want to smell me in person. They like the smell. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to try it. One lady called back from the smell of the letter. One letter. We didn't close the deal, but she called back, man. It was just a funny story because I was like, you know what? You never know. It's just something that makes your letter different. It's all it is. And so that's and it probably goes to our next segue is everything I try to do outside the norm, outside the box, but still staying, still staying authentic to what I'm doing. And so I think wet signatures, everybody has mailers, but not everybody's taking time to sign. One thing in our mailers, we're not trying to sell you anything other than providing a service. It's real short. Our mailer's probably a total of, I would say, maybe 11 sentences, and that includes my intro. So it's nothing that people feel like it's overdrawn.
Mhm.
And I think it's been a big hit, man. I share it with everybody that asks.
There you go.
And that's dope, dude. I feel like you kind of came up through the ranks quick. Like I saw your name on Facebook one day, and the next thing you know, deal. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Who's this guy?
Thanks, man. I appreciate
that's dope.
that.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So tell us how the transition went. How did you go from 100K in mailers to like implementing more systems and processes? Can you tell us what the evolution looked like from you quitting your job, starting in real estate, and then moving along from bird dogging? Like, can you tell us what that progression looked like?
Yeah, so once I started doing bird dogging, I started realizing when I was selling a deal, right? I sold my first deal to, I believe it was a friend of mine. Actually, yeah, it was a friend of mine. And they're the ones who said, hey, you left a lot of meat on this bone. And I said, wow. I was like, well, I'm selling it to you. And yeah, he was like, but I'm gonna buy more from you. Gave you the whole spiel, right? So I'm like, you know what? I just wanted to get the momentum. Wasn't trying to count my pockets. I just wanted to build something to prove that I could do it. Once I proved that model, I just went ahead and accelerated it to learning how can I start doing automated mail. So I still try to stay with mail and start trying to try to automate the mailing process. It was way more costly than it was when I did it manually. Then from there, I think I want to say I went to a class that I believe Quentin Flores was hosting. And I'm going to be honest, he was hosting it. Never met the guy. I had never met Aaron Bevins either. That was my first time being there. They had seen me do a few deals through the ranking. At this time, I've probably done a little more than 22 deals already. They invited me over to this masterminding thing. I came in. I didn't know anybody. Aaron was like, hey, how's it going, man? I was like, hey, I think you're coming up. I think you're going to be a force to reckon with. He's like, come on stage and let's go backstage. He's like, brought me out of the crowd. Took me backstage. Him and Quentin were there like, hey, man, this and that, really poured into me. And then they said, hey, what do you do with systems? And I said, systems, what do you mean? And they were like, well, how have you sold so many deals? And I said, mailers. And they laughed. It was a good laugh, but they were like, ha, ha, ha. And they were like, no, for real, man, for real. I've been watching you. What are you doing? I said, mailers. And he was like, wow. He's like, that's something. I got to see this mailer. He's like, wow. And I was like, yeah. And so they were, he explained to me batch leads at the time and all those, all the programs. That's when it happened. I started learning more. The hard part people don't tell you is that it's not getting the house. It's finding the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the acquisition. It's the buyer. And nobody wants to tell you, how do you find buyers? Where do you get buyers from? All they want to say is, hey, call me when you get a contract. I'll help you sell it. That's it, right?
Yeah. They don't want to teach you the sauce.
No, they don't want to teach you the sauce. They want to steal your recipe and watch you as you go, but they don't want to teach you the sauce. And so my next step was to say, okay, I need to build my buyers list. I got the hang of finding properties, but now I was stuck with inventory that I wasn't moving. I started hot, and then I realized my numbers, I was leaving meat on the bone. I needed to adjust that. I started figuring out my formulas, and then from there, I started calling every We Buy Home sign, every bandit sign, every sign in the thing. And I started weeding out who were real buyers and who were wholesalers. And I started learning the real buyers. I started getting my list like that at first. And then from there, I started getting my list. And then I developed a platform for constant contact marketing. And then I started just blasting properties. If I told y'all the numbers that we did through Dispo alone was probably a third of what our revenue was. Once we started getting the hang of it, people just started sending us deals. And we would sell their deals in 10 days or less. I mean, some of the people we work with, y'all probably heard of, y'all known. They're some of them are big players in the game. We've moved deals for them through trust, appreciation, transparency, and all off of developing these buyers lists. And it's crazy. And I was telling, I believe I stopped in Hive, and we was in Hive. I was speaking to Anthony's brother, and I was telling him one of the biggest secrets people don't know is that you can download buyers. And you can download not only regular buyers, but hedge fund buyers. You can download the latest hedge fund buyers who bought in the last 90 days and blind sell to them, and they will buy at 80%, which people in San Antonio won't. But a lot of times people are not going to show you where to get those, how to find those. And I'm going to eventually, I'm going to do a video and I'm going to release that, how you get those buyers, man. But it's incredible. It's incredible just to send a deal and just
first, don't give away the sauce. Let them let them send you some deals for you to dispo to them first.
Right.
Let's build a relationship first, then I'll give you the sauce, right?
Yeah, for real. For real.
Yeah, I think that's fair, man, because if you took the time and you got the knowledge, you got the game, yeah, you know, like, and how you know who to trust, right? If I just give you all my connections and now you're gone, never talk to you again, like, hey, come over here, let's do a couple of deals, let's get to know each other, let's go to lunch, let's talk a little bit, right?
At least can I get dinner and a movie first?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Heck yeah, man. So, all right. So now you started to learn the game from just giving other people deals, realize that you were leaving some money on the table. You started to build up your buyers list, started working some dispo for some big names. When did you start to like really scale the business? Like what took you to the next level? Was it just like hiring a team, or where'd you go from there?
I want to say it would probably be in my third year when we put VAs in place. And I was actually able to dedicate myself more to the business side and let my acquisitions and let my cold calling and start letting my mailers be handled by someone else. I think a lot of times when people start, we get taken off in a fast level. We start making good money and we're like, hey, this is good. And then you hit this wall. And when you hit this wall, it's like, okay, is it systems? Is it people? Is it location? Is it my acquisition? I need to change it and adjust to a niche, find a niche that works for me. When we put VAs in place and we brought in a dialer, it took us to that next level where now the acquisitions were coming in more than we could handle. And so now we were getting 2-3 deals where we were having to pick, okay, you know what? This deal is not ready for us. We have to walk away, because it's smarter to walk away from a deal than to waste the buyer's or seller's time and just hold on to it just to have the inventory. I'd rather not, and let somebody else, fluff the guy up. I can't do it. I'm going to walk away. And once we got those systems, man, it scaled, because now we had 2-3 VAs reading the script, locking up a deal, and we did everything systematically through our Google Sheet. So sheet 1 was your script. Sheet 2 was, now you got them. Hey, answer these questions. We had them fill out the basics. Sheet 3 was, can they send us pictures? And before you know it, we had acquisitions to comb through. So I think systems really changed it for us in order to scale. I feel is what we needed to do. And then I think our 4th year, we implemented the Hive, baby. And the Hive's been really good for us because it's also helped me get deals outside of Texas, which is something that my past platform didn't do for me. The Hive has allowed me to get acquisitions in Miami, which is where we're actually establishing another footprint. I'm working over there with a few people. I'm actually going to be doing a little podcast with Edwin Carson. I believe y'all had him on your show. I saw him through one of the Hives. I got to double check.
Edwin Carrion?
There you go, him. So
awesome. Dope, man. Y'all partnered up now over there in Miami?
So we're doing something in Miami. He's
yeah.
He seems pretty legit, man. I like the guy. He has a good flow, man, a good vibe, energy. So we'll be doing.
You found him through the podcast?
Huh?
You found him through our podcast?
No, so it's a funny story. So I was training my wife how to use the Hive to help us because we were running into so many leads. Right now, I have more leads than we can respond to. And I had my wife go ahead and guys, I'm serious. This is besides the interview, the Hive is real. We have probably 92 leads right now that we have not had a chance to touch. So I had my wife trained. I had her in there. She was watching the YouTube videos, watching those videos, and she ran across Edwin's video and she was like, wow, I like him. His videos this. She showed it to me and I'm like, wow, it's not. We go to Miami, kind of frequently. We love Miami. Found out he was from Miami. He reached out to me. I reached out to him through Instagram and just kind of vibe. And from there, I was like, hey, yeah, let's meet when you come down here. Let's have a coffee and talk real estate and see what we can do. And so it works for me because I'm trying to get properties in Miami. We walked properties in there. I'm real familiar with the area now. And now it's just executing. But the Hive's provided leads, man. We've seen properties, we've gotten properties, even some of them are in Little Haiti, which is not the greatest part, but I'd still buy Little Haiti. It's amazing, man. Miami's beautiful. And so the Hive has really helped us expand to other states. And so I think now in year 4, our goal is to establish that Miami footprint out there. And right now with real estate, it's amazing, man. Some people think that it's overpriced, but you can still find deals.
So I'm going to ask you the sauce on this one a little bit. We talked about it a little bit before, but what is the trick you use during SMSing to respond to you?
So this works 9 out of 10 times. So on my SMS, I misspell some of the most common words purposely. When you misspell words, you always have somebody that wants to correct you. You always want to have that guy, right? Like, hey, well, you want to buy my house? Learn how to spell first. You sure, right? How about I help you pay your taxes and you teach me how to spell? Let's do that together, right? You provide me how to spell, I provide you some tax relief. And so it gets people going. It gets the engagement. Some people will just cuss me out and say, I didn't know how to spell, but I know it was a good number. I know that maybe I caught you at a bad time, and I'm going to follow up with you because you let me know it was the right number. I just didn't catch you at the best time. So then we go into our drip mode, guys. And we get that automation going. And now hey, I caught you at a bad time last time. You hung up on me. Is this a better time to talk? And we go from there. But that misspelled word, it made them respond all the time. It's spelled duh. And you're like, oh yeah, I put the, just some small words that make people always respond. And you get your engagement rate, you get your response rate up, and it helps you weed out the bad numbers from the good numbers. And it's a little trick that we just have here. And if anybody wants to use it, it really works, man. Spell one of the funniest words.
The funniest part about this is that he called me to look at a campaign for something because something wasn't working properly. So I looked it up and I'm like, hey, dude, this is misspelled, right? He's like, yeah, I did it on purpose. I'm like, dude, that's brilliant.
You were like, why is he sending this out? But that's what it does.
I love that. Anything to get him to respond. That's dope.
Yeah, because if not, it was just a waste of money, right? We never got a chance to validate if it was at least somebody on the other side.
You don't know what you're missing yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the funny part is now that I saw another client is that he corrects himself. Like he'll put a wait step in between there, and then he'll correct the word, so it makes it seem like he's correcting his mistake, and that's part of his part of his campaign.
Yeah, I like that.
Man, I probably told somebody that. No, I'm just kidding.
You probably did. I
gave away the secret.
That's a good one, man. I like that. A little follow up to be like, hey, my bad.
With the asterisk.
Gives you permission to hit him twice too.
Dude, I love that.
So aside from all of your knowledge and your savvy, like all the little tips and tricks you've learned just from doing business over and over again, I noticed something too. You and your wife are really cool, genuine people, man. Y'all are down to earth and you come across that way. So I'm sure I can kind of see that in your messaging. And I have seen your messaging, right? Because we were working with you on Dispo on some of this stuff. And I'll tell you one thing, man, you're bold. When you're texting these people, sometimes you're not being their best friend. I've seen the way you level with people, man. Can you talk about that a little bit? It's a particular style that I've never seen before in this game, but I've seen you like kind of put some people in their place, man. And you're like, hey, look, let me tell you something. And I'm like, oh shoot, did he just say that? That's dope.
Right, man. I think it comes from working in the bank and securing contracts. They have to be aggressive, and so sometimes I learned that people when they come in with this mindset that it's my way or the highway, and then when you tell somebody take the highway, they kind of don't want it their way no more. They're kind of like, well, wait a minute. Well, if this guy doesn't care, obviously there must be something wrong or there must be something why. And so I have this aggressive style because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste mine. And I let them know that sometimes. And so someone's like, oh, don't call me with this deal if you're going to waste my time. And I'll respond back. You're wasting my time with this text if we can't even respond on the, cordially. And sometimes they're like, oh, well, who are you to talk to me like that? And I'm like, well, who are you the same way? And so, and sometimes they respond with they end up changing their tone. I mean, almost all the time they change the tone when you do fire with fire. After a while, you kill it and they balance. I mean, you probably saw some of them. We started out hot. Before you know it, it was like, oh, okay, well, this is what I'm asking, and it happens, bud. And you're like, all right, no problem. But
dude, I've seen it, dude. I've seen it a bunch of times. Like I said, that is freaking amazing strategy, bro. Because I feel like you're not even doing it as a strategy. You're just like leveling with these people. Like, hey, what are you talking about? Like, who are you? You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty cool, man. It really helps when
you do that. It's one of those things where you tell somebody, look, I'm not going to get rich off this deal. Neither are you. I'm trying to help you provide a service. Now, if you don't want me to help you, then that's fine. And when you put that line in the sand, people's mentality is like, it changes. It no longer becomes like, hey, he needs my property. It's like, hey, I need his service. I need this guy's service. Because what happens is they start to realize when you don't, in a sense, put your tail between your legs and say, okay, I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted your property. It's no big deal. Then you're letting them know that you don't really have as much to offer versus you're like, hey, my time is money. I want to help you alleviate the stress. I want to help you, but I can't help you if you're going to cuss me out. If I cuss you out, we get nowhere.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just like, you know what, sir, you know what? I was having a bad day. You know what? I'll hear you out, man. You know what? My wife, this and they change, you know. I hate doing it sometimes. I'd rather it always be nice, but it works. It works. Instead of running, some people will get that cuss out and they'll leave. I might throw a curse back. I might have a little retaliatory statement, but I get them going enough where we end up coming to a meeting and I calm it down and I make it say, hey, you know, we're friends. Friends argue. Let's make this deal together. You know?
Oh, one thing I will test this. If you're going to throw fire at somebody, make sure you're ready to put it out when it comes back at you. Because if you can't put out the fire, don't do it.
Facts.
Yeah, that's an
Really
advanced strategy. Somebody's gonna watch this video and they're gonna get on the phone. They're gonna start talking shit to other sellers. Yeah, don't proceed with caution, guys. I've been doing it for 4 years. Yeah, don't get all excited.
One of my best deals came from a full-on cussing conversation. This guy sent me some fake pictures. I mean, he sent me all sorts of stuff. At the end of the day, being like, "Oh man, you're not so bad, man. You put up with my shit. Let's go ahead and do a deal." And I'm like, all right, man. I was sending the pictures back, man. I was like, you know, I was downloading a picture of a horse in his best days, and I was like, well, then take that. You know, I was like, take this, and it broke him down to be like, man, you know what, man, I appreciate it. Good deal, man. You know, no one ever really texted me back like that. I'm like, hey, no big deal, man. I enjoyed it, you know. But man, he would send some pictures. I'll never forget that guy. I actually still saved them. It's hilarious, bro. Like the conversations that people do, and then just to hear them, oh, you know what, man, let's do a deal. And you're like, man, 10 tube steak pictures later, man, come on. Man. You know, the worst case is sometimes my son might have my phone and be like, ding, be like, boom, like, oh my God, turn off the app, you know? And then, you know, then my wife was running one of those campaigns too. And she's like, this guy seems to not really like you. And I'm like, oh, he'll come around. It's all right.
And you ended up doing the deal with the guy.
And I ended up doing the deal with him.
Oh, man. Dang, that is crazy. I don't know.
$25,000 pop, you know, and it was good. We met him in person, and when I actually saw him, it was totally opposite of what I pictured. Man, he was this nice little old man, and I was like, oh my God, like you were downloading these pictures and sending them to me, like. What? Like, I mean, he looked like the guy from Up. You know, the little old man from Up that would walk. I was like that, and I was like, what? I was like, man, that man is so dirty. Like, oh my gosh.
Dang. All right, this one's gonna go on a commercial.
That's funny, man.
Dude,
that's funny, bro. So do not talk people up on a cliff if you can't talk them down.
Bro, for real.
That's funny, man. That's such a good story. I think people take like this business too seriously. Like sometimes you gotta have fun.
You do, man. You do, because mentally it can get you.
Yeah,
that's what I said whenever somebody's like cursing back at one of my team members when we were there at the office. I just laugh it off, man. I'm like, man, he must be having a bad day, you know. And I really don't hold it against anybody. Like if they're crazy, they send us back something funny. Sometimes I tell them to respond. Sometimes I'm like, just ignore, move on to the next one, you know, because you never know when you catch somebody, man. So I've been there before when somebody's like blowing up my phone like a marketing thing, and I'm like, oh man, I'm got time for this right now. So I feel it, yeah. I ain't mad at them.
Call you just to hang up on you, and you're like, come on, man.
Or they text you back some clever stuff. But sometimes, you know what, dude? They'll come off rude, right? And then you don't respond in a rude way. You respond back with something cool or funny. And then they'll respond back with something funny. Like, I'm just messing with you. You know what I mean? But they're just trying to like push you off your rocker. Like, hey, you're in my phone. This is my house. I get to do whatever I want. So I think that's something people need to remember. If you're cycling through a lot of leads and somebody says something bad to you, like, man, it's just part of the game. Like, don't take it personal.
Yeah.
You got to have thick skin in this business to make money.
You really do, man. You really do. And after a while, it just becomes fun. It becomes fun.
I enjoy it.
Messages. I'm like, oh, let's see what they tell me today.
Yeah, I really do, man. I'm the same way. I kind of enjoy it. It's cool when somebody gives you some shit. You're like, yeah, whatever, man. Have a good day. I still say, hey, have a blessed day, man. Be cool. I don't try to take them too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, for real. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. No problem. No
Yeah.
problem. God bless you. Oh,
Yeah.
that kills him.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, yeah.
I catch you on a
The
better
next
day.
week sometime, oh, that kills him, man. Just to give him a last laugh. And that, it costs a sense to respond, but I still love it, man, just to give him a laugh.
Let's kind of go down a little bit. What type of deals are you doing? Are you doing, because a lot of our clients are land people, but I don't know if you're a land person, if you're doing houses and stuff like that.
I do flips. I love rentals. I do sub two deals. We do lots. Obviously, we love land. Most of the time, if we don't buy it, then we'll wholesale it. But usually, we try to keep everything in house. We buy. We do in buy a lot of properties. The only thing I don't buy is downtown. I really stay away from downtown. I'd rather wholesale most of those properties versus keeping them and renovating them. I think it's
Why is that? Because a lot of people want that area.
no, I mean, I've had everything from house right across the street from the Alamo Dome next to Cherry Liberty Bar to Olive Street. I've had one on Nolan across from right across from Cruising Kitchens, that little house right there. I've had all of these. And the equity for me and what you'll go through downtown and the microscope that you're on with those inspectors and all of the money, because you start thinking, okay, well, if I flip this property and I make, 40 to 70,000, let's say best case scenario, 100, I probably could have, wholesaled 2-3 deals and made that as well. And so, so you start gauging that time. But downtown for me, it's the inspections, it's the code compliance, it's everything that's involved that you have to do to get the approval versus if I do one on the south side, I'm not going to have to go through hoops. They're going to let me do it. If I do one downtown, it's a bigger can of worms to open for a lot less profit. I think at some point it becomes just a contest to say, hey, I did a property downtown. Like, oh, look, I did that one. But really, I've made better deals and spreads on a West Side property than I did with one that I did by downtown. And that's the one I learned from. And I said, man, this really wasn't what I thought it was. All I saw was the tower. And I thought, hey, money signs. It was on Crockett Street. And I said, oh man, the tower's right here. I'm on Crockett. Let's do this. Oh man, everything. I had to pull a permit for everything. They stopped by for everything. Every single small thing was done. Almost 6 months of holding this property. And I was like, man, I'm done. I ended up letting it go as is and didn't even want to finish it just because it was just too much micromanaging, if you will, of my property, of them stopping by. Maybe I had a bad inspector, code compliance guy, but it was enough for me to say, yeah, I really don't want to do downtown with my own cash. And then most lenders, they don't want to do downtown either. I think it maxes out at its appreciation. Like the ARV is the ARV that it hits. And I think downtown's hit that pinnacle. I don't see it getting any higher in the next few years. I see it kind of normalizing. And so that's the only reason I won't take the risk to dabble downtown anymore. Yeah,
that's a good point, man. Yeah, that is. Yeah, the inspectors go crazy down there. Yeah, and like you said, it'll stretch out your timeline, stretch out your budget. Yeah, so that's a good point. I got tired of rehabs, man. Like I'll take a sub 2 that needs no rehab, but I don't feel like doing like $100,000 remodel. I'm just not into it no more. Like you could make that flipping a land deal. We got a land deal like on Thursday, and we already sold it today. 45K profit. No flip, 3 days total. Like, yeah, so I'm gonna skip the houses for sure for right now.
Oh, yeah, you can't beat that at all.
Yeah, maybe if it needs no work at all, I'm game. But other than that, you're gonna do a rehab for 6 months to make 40 G's or 50 G's. Like, man, y'all can keep it.
I never understood that concept, man. And when I actually got into that part, when we scaled from bird dogging to wholesaling to actually buying holds and flipping, I learned that when I would speak to some investors on my first flip, we made $80,000. I was upset. I didn't know that people, I was upset. And my wife could attest to this. I was like, what? I was like, man, I wanted to make 100 or more. I was like, this was a waste of my time. I was losing. I was like, man, I spent 6 months to make $80,000. Like, what the hell? And it ate at me. And we actually got under contract in the first 10 days. What killed us was the inspections, because my house was from 1972. And we upgraded so much, but there was so many little things that kept on coming up, and everybody had a specific preference. I was like, wow, I was so upset about it. What I learned in talking to other investors, they're happy making 30 to 40K
Crazy.
on a flip.
Dude,
And
that
I
is
was like,
nuts.
wow. So when they were hearing me, they were like, you made 80,000. They were like, man, congratulations. And I'm like, why? It's like, I was like, oh. They're like, man, that's a great spread. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, wait a minute. So y'all don't make 100 on y'all's or this? They're like, man, I'm happy to get 40 and keep it moving. And I'm like, wow, I'd rather do a wholesale deal and make 25K on something small and do it 2 times and make the same thing in the same 30 days.
We're just a couple of pages.
Yeah, with just some clicks. I sit here, I could be at Starbucks and probably make $40,000 versus me waking up every day, calling GCs, checking on the property, stopping to pick up materials, choosing the color templates. All of that stuff takes time out of your day. So I was like, what, this wasn't worth my time. I started doing all crazy stuff. I was like, okay, well, if I'm making X amount a month divided by this per day, man, I lost money working on this house with my time. And so I started, because when you break it down and you realize, you and Daniel, let's say y'all have $100,000 a month, you break it down by your day, how much you made by your day, by your hour, minus your cost, your electricity, and you're like, hey, I'm worth $2,200 a day. If I'm at this property for 6 months, I actually lost the money because I lost
some money.
You know what I mean? When you break it down to that minute, you start to realize how much you're worth per hour. And you start to allocate your time differently. And so that's why I started getting away from those flips and said, man, this ain't worth it. Now I'm like, I just want lipstick deals. I'll still do a full flip. I just need to get it like a 70%. So if you send me a 70% deal, I will buy it. Don't care what it is, as long as it works. It can't be an Atascosa, like outside, but other than that, I'm all right.
Where can people send you deals?
Where do they send me deals?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You have like an email people can send you deals to?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So people can send me deals on my email at Albert A. Hernandez 1802 at Gmail, or they can message me a deal directly on my Instagram at realestate_hero or on my Facebook. And yeah, definitely I can dispo deals pretty quick. If I can't, then I call the Hive.
Let's get it. Sick, man. Okay. So what do you have anything else you want to cover? Like anything that you want to say to the people that might be watching this? Like,
yeah. I think one of the biggest questions I get, right? So I've had a few people tell me, hey, I've seen you go from here to there in such a short amount of time. And how did you do it? What's the secret? And to me, the secret, honestly, there isn't one. But if I had to choose one, I would say it's in marketing. I think people don't spend enough dollars in their marketing. I think some people think small and they're like, hey, I made 100,000 with zero marketing. Okay, congratulations. Imagine if you added marketing.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, we're making 100,000 with only 10,000, a year in marketing, and we're happy. I'm like, okay, what if you ramped that to 30,000 in marketing? What if that took you to 300K? But people don't think that way. And so when I say marketing, I have these modules that we're putting together from our company that we're putting these courses together on marketing that's absolutely free. When I say free, I'm talking about untapped resources. We know about Google ads. People have bandit signs to get pulled. I have 4 locations here in San Antonio that probably bring us, I would say we probably get about at least 15 leads solidly a month. And when I say solidly, I mean contracted and wrapped up and sold. The other ones we either passed, they're in the pipeline, the deal didn't work, the numbers were bad. And I say it's a segue to this. Find the hottest traffic area that you can in your city. Locate a house on the corner, at a stoplight, at a stop sign, knock on that door and ask if you can hang your bandit sign there or put it in their yard for as little as 50 cents a day. We have a couple houses that the lady's taking a quarter a day. Somebody's taking 50 cents a day, $1 a day. But we're talking about a sign that's over here on Military Drive by Hungry Farmers. That's about as big as a car that you see every single day. That you saw a month from now, in 3 months, somebody says they're selling a house. They say, I know where there's a sign at. Let's go back to get that phone number. We're talking
that's
about,
smart, dude.
I have a sign in Dignity where we've gotten leads off of that. It's in somebody's house. We're paying them 75 cents. If you do one deal a year off of one sign and it's a $6,000, let's say it was a minimum of $6,000 profit, you paid for that whole year of marketing on that sign in that yard.
Yeah.
That's genius, man. I never heard anybody that's doing that either, man. That's dope. That's a great idea.
People never think about it. You know how many people just want to take 50 cents a day? A lot, bro. Nobody's ever been like, nah, I want $5 every single time. They're like, could you do $1? You're like, I'll do 75. Keep in mind, I'm just gonna put it in that far corner. You won't even notice it. It'll be like it's not even there, and I'll cut you a check in the mail. You'll get it every 30th. Everybody says yes. Everybody.
Oh, I love that, dude. I'm gonna start using that. You're gonna see me on a one of those reels.
You'll be surprised, bro. You put a Hive Mind sign and you say, "Hey, Hive Mind, we buy land any type. I'm gonna give you a location." We put ours over there off of 151, exiting by the main event. It has one of the longest traffic lights that there is for it to turn green. It's one of our hottest areas. There's a house there. And how do I know that? I have a commercial realtor who's able to run, it's a gym. My commercial realtor is able to run the diagnostics on the traffic of the volume on every time that they crossed either that strip. You ever seen that strip in the yard? It's measuring the traffic flow on the main streets that you drive on. And it's letting the commercial buildings that you can actually go get that data and say, hey, I want to buy this commercial property. Someone's like, oh man, it's the hottest traffic area. Is it? Let me check the data. The data's in the system. I can see how many cars pass by here on average, how long these traffic lights are on average. And guess what? I want that traffic light that says it lasts over 22 seconds. Put me that 22-second light so somebody can write my number down. Man, this Southside Street has over 42,000 cars pass by here a year. I want my sign at that house right there, and I'm gonna knock on her door and I'm willing to give her $1 because guess what? If I just get 3% of that 44,000 and somebody calls me out of that, I'm winning. I'm doing well. And you do that times 4 other properties that are in hot areas, you're gonna get leads because they can't pull your sign off. It's almost like we're doing acquisition and marketing, but we just have a sign that's set there. We just have somebody at the mall all day trying to sell a brochure, but instead it's a yard. You know what I mean? And so that was my thing. Like, hey, what do these companies do? Hey, sir, come here. You like to buy this? Well, that's what that sign is. Like, hey, call me. It's here every day of your life. Every day you drive home in that neighborhood that look ran down, you're going to call me.
You're going to think about it. That's dope, man. I like it. I'm going to start using that right away.
It was a little long-winded, but I think
that's great.
It's a big one, bro, that a lot of people don't use that, they can. And it's
I like those. I like those outside the box strategies.
Some people will let you put it up for free and you just ask them, can I put a sign in your yard and give them some cookies? I've done it. They take it, man.
So the good thing is that this is at the end of the episode, so people have to listen to the whole episode to listen for that gem.
Hey, I got one more question before we get out of here.
Oh, you're good. Good.
You said you shut down your batch completely?
Yeah.
Okay, so why'd you leave batch for Hive Mind? That's what I want to know.
Oh man, I'm gonna lose every affiliate of all time for that one.
Okay, we'll save it for another show.
No, I left batch because of the automation that Hive Mind offers is probably bar none. When it comes to the automated portion of being able to have leads that you don't lose and you can recycle those using automations and triggers, batch hasn't figured that out yet. And while everybody goes to batch for their friendly interface and it's so colorful and that's cool, but color doesn't equal dollar signs. And so I tell, I have some friends that use it. I'm like, hey, you can keep the cute interface. I'll take my manly interface any day of the week. And I'm like, hey, mine's better. I say, you got DiGiorno. I was like, I don't do that. I want something that's right to the point. And for me, Hive Mind, the automated portion allowed me not to lose any leads. So while I was in batch, I skipped, I ran it, I did everything, I milked it. It sat there. That was it. Now I have 1,000 leads sitting there. Out of 1,000, we reached out to 300. The other ones are sitting there. Hive, I could probably have the VAs call, but now you spent all that money. Well, when you got the Hive, I can just constantly put that and say, okay, all of the triggers that said, go away, not interested, let me follow up with them in 90 days. And so for me, For me, I said, yo, I need the Hive because it's automated. It allows me to completely step away and have someone else run my system. And so it's unbelievable, man. I think a lot of people are scared to try the Hive because everybody wants to be part of the in thing, or oh, I use this too, and oh, I use those people will always be just trying to follow. And I think when you go to try to do something for you and what works best for your program, your company, I think people will realize like the Hive is so robust. There's so many things to do in the Hive. And guys, I'm not getting paid for this, just so y'all know. This is 100% organic. The Hive is so robust. When I say robust, we got websites, Google Ads, social media monitoring. It even lets me post automatically. Well, I don't even have to touch my Facebook. I can load up reels and schedule when they come out. Batch ain't gonna do that. Batch ain't gonna do that.
I've been seeing you come out with them reels, man. That's dope. You're making some really, really good content. It's exciting to watch, man. And then
I love
I know
the
some people are going to say, oh, but there's a bunch of other CRMs like that are cheaper. You know, I think you mentioned something about our customer service or Gene or something like that. We're pretty hands-on in that regard.
Yeah, definitely, man. Customer service is a big deal. I think also the fact that y'all are able to be contacted and address any issue you have is something Batch won't do. You're going to call Batch, you're going to call these other companies, and they're going to put you on hold, give you a ticket, email us the issue. With HiveMind, the services, they're going to call you 9 times out of 10 that day. They're going to fix it. I think to me, man, the service, the platform, the automation, the programming, and it's so easy to use. I think that's what makes it friendly, man. It really is easy to use. Once you use it, you're like, man, I'm just going to load up a campaign just to load one up. Let's see what happens. You know, I do that, man.
I love loading a fresh campaign. Like, let's get some money on the table.
Yeah, it's exciting. You're like, man, let me load this up, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me see what's in Dallas. Just see what's out there. You're like, what? They responded. Oh wow, it gives you a fighting chance on everything, man. I think the Hive it's amazing, really robust. Y'all did a great job.
Thanks, man. I love seeing people like you killing it, man. And yeah, you and your beautiful family, man. I love to see you winning for them and working together. So dream come true, man. I'm glad to be in your city, and I'm glad to be working with you, and looking forward to getting some check with you. So let us know what we can do to help, man.
Definitely. I'm excited to go back to the Hive and do some more out there, man. You have some gems, and you're a beast on the phone, man. Really strategic in your creative financing. I took a couple gems from that day too. I like how you structure your deals. It makes it lucrative for everybody. So I love it, man. Guys, y'all need to visit the Hive.
There you go. The Hive House is dope too if you're in San Antonio. What was your experience at the Hive House?
Man, it's beautiful, man. It's a lot more impressive in person than what you can think of. You see the pictures, you're like, wow, it's beautiful. You see it in person and you're like, wow, this is a lot of house. It's so beautiful and swanky, man. The vibe there, the energy is incredible. I love when somebody was like, hey, I got a deal. In a whole nother room, you just heard, I got a deal, with like 10 echoes, deal. And then you just heard like, yeah, everybody started clapping. You're like, oh man, heck yeah, you don't know what's going on, but you clap too, because that energy is there, So that was one of my favorite parts was when I heard one of the ladies, like, she got a huge deal. Everybody stopped what they were doing to congratulate her and say, hey man, way to go. And that right there to me was probably the most pivotal moment of being at the Hive, because I was like, okay, the system in place, I love the place. Anthony, everybody's awesome, but that energy and that vibe and that family atmosphere is something that you can't fake. It's something that you can't buy. It's organic. And when you see people genuinely vibe like that, it's a place that you want to be. It's a place that you can grow. And I think it impressed me, man, just seeing how everybody was just gravitating, flowing, seeing Anthony going from one room to another room to another room to another person to that call. Never one time got mad. Never one time was like, hold on. No. He was like, yeah, 1 second, this deal, this deal. And so I was like, you know what? This is energy, this is real estate. And I just, man, you have to be there, bro. Like, I probably want to do bed and breakfast just to be in there for the energy, just to work for a day. That's how live it was.
Yeah, come on by, dude. Yeah, I'll be happy to make some calls. I even jumped on a call for you. I'm like, let me talk to this guy.
Yeah, bro, it was incredible, bro. Like, I really enjoyed it, man. The Hive, y'all got a beautiful, beautiful headquarters.
Thank you, man. Yeah. You and your beautiful family made it. You won up this, man. So yeah, we appreciate you coming by.
With that, I love going to the house because I like experiencing it too. But it's cool hearing the other people's experience too, because like people like that's just, hey, can I stop by the house? I'm like, yeah,
come on by. Open door policy.
Okay, sure.
Dude, I'll tell you, every single person that's gone to that house and hung around there has got a deal. No joke, dude. No joke. Every single person. I can
see it. I still have that one big one that we're working on in Hollywood Park, and it's like he's ready to go. We're just waiting on a few things for him from title, and he's like, hey, I want to do it and take that deal that y'all structured, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna do that structured deal. Let me read these notes. We're gonna send it to you. And that was one of the ones that Anthony put out there. He was, he told the guy, this is what we'll do, and let me tell you what, and he came back around and he tried it, didn't work, and now he's like, hey, I'll take your deal. So,
dang, okay, yeah, nice, bro. That's crazy.
Tried to go on market for a month, it didn't work, and so I said, "We're here." So now he's like, "Let's do the deal. Can I get at least 20,000 down?" I said, "We'll see what we can do. See what we can do."
Yeah, dude. When that one closes, let's go get some steaks.
yeah. When that one closes, we're gonna get steaks, man. Because definitely got that creative going on him.
Hell yeah, I'm glad to hear that. That made my day, bro. That made my night. I appreciate that. That's dope.
Sweet. That's amazing, man. Thanks for listening to the episode, man. Thanks for Anthony for coming out. Thanks, other Anthony, for helping co-host. Please go like, subscribe, go write a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Help us reach more people with this content. Like I said, we're always here providing the value and the information. And hopefully we'll do a follow-up interview with Anthony in the next 6 months to a year, man. We'll follow up with them. But there's plenty of information out here, and thanks for everybody contributing.
Thanks. I appreciate y'all for having me, man. Can't wait to come on again.
Always a pleasure, Anthony. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.